Welcome back to Thinkiverse Podcast, unlocking knowledge across the spectrum every day. I'm Ryan Lamas, and we're just 10 days out from the 2024 election.
I'm Rana Escleto.
Can you believe it?
And it feels like this whole year has been one long campaign ad.
Right. But things are getting really interesting now, especially when we look at the closing arguments both Trump and Harris are making. And I don't just mean what they're saying, but where they're saying it.
What's fascinating here is how these venues become almost like characters in the campaign's narratives. They tap into emotions, memories, symbolism. It's a whole layer of strategy most people don't even realize is happening.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Trump's holding a rally at Madison Square Garden, which is obviously legendary, but it's in New York City, a city he lost by a lot in 2016, and is statistically unlikely to win this time. Why even bother?
It's about optics and energy. Imagine the packed arena, the roaring crowds, the media frenzy. It projects an image of strength and dominance that reaches far beyond New York. Trump wants those visuals playing in every swing state, reminding voters of his star power and the passionate support he commands.
So it's less about winning New York and more about feeding this narrative of being a winner, a celebrity, a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. It reinforces his brand, even if the location itself isn't strategically crucial. Now, on the flip side, we have Kamala Harris choosing a very different and very loaded venue. The Ellipse, that's the same spot where Trump delivered his January 6th speech.
Whoa, okay, that's a choice. It's bold for sure. But what message is she trying to send with that location? I mean, talk about historical baggage.
This is where it gets really interesting by standing on that very ground. Harris is directly confronting the specter of January 6th, the insurrection, the attempt to overturn a democratic election. It's a visual reminder of the chaos and danger associated with Trump's presidency.
So she's basically saying, remember this. This is what's at stake. I'm the alternative to that chaos.
Precisely. She's positioning herself as a defender of democracy, a guardian of stability and order. It's a powerful message, especially for voters who are anxious about the future of American politics.
It's almost like she's turning Trump's own weapon against him, using the imagery of that day to evoke fear and anxiety, but directed at him, not at her.
That's a great way to put it. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy. If it works, it could be incredibly effective, but if it backfires, it could alienate moderates who are tired of rehashing the past.
Okay, so we've got these starkly contrasting venues, almost like visual metaphors for the campaigns themselves, but of course the venues are just the backdrop. The real battle is being fought over the issues, right?
Yeah.
What are the key points each candidate is hammering on in these final days?
You're right. While the imagery is powerful, voters ultimately care about what these candidates are going to do, not just where they're standing when they say it. So for Harris, it's a two-pronged approach. She is leaning heavily into abortion rights, an issue that resonates strongly with women and moderate voters, and she's drawing a very sharp contrast between herself and Trump in terms of character.
Okay, so how's that playing out? What's the messaging like?
She's painting Trump as vengeful, obsessed with his enemies list, and focused on settling scores. She, on the other hand, is the get-things-done candidate, practical, level-headed, focused on solutions, not on stoking division. It's a classic good versus evil narrative, and she's hoping it resonates with voters who are tired of the drama and chaos of the Trump years.
Makes sense. And what about Trump? What's his closing message?
No surprises here. He's sticking to the themes that have worked for him in the past. Border security and immigration are front and center. He's using very strong language, almost fear-mongering, blaming Democrats for all the problems facing the country right now.
You know, it's interesting how both candidates are using fear, but in such different ways. Harris is tapping into the fear of Democratic backsliding of another January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is playing on those economic anxieties, the fear of losing jobs of the country changing too fast.
That's a great observation. It really highlights the different coalitions they're trying to build. Harris is appealing to a more diverse, younger, and arguably more educated electorate that is concerned about issues like climate change and social justice. Trump is still targeting that white working-class base that feels left behind by globalization and cultural shifts.
It's like they're speaking two different languages, addressing two different Americas.
And that's a big part of the problem in our politics right now. It's not just that we disagree on policy, it's that we can't even agree on the basic facts or the nature of the problems we're facing.
Okay, so we've got the venues, the messaging, the contrasting visions of America, but let's be honest, no campaign is complete without a little star power. Both candidates are bringing out some big names for those final rallies and fundraisers.
Oh, absolutely. Celebrity endorsements have become an essential part of the campaign playbook, especially in this media-saturated age.
It seems like Trump is relying on his own celebrity, the energy of those rallies, the whole spectacle of it all.
He's always been a master showman, and those rallies are like rock concerts. They generate excitement, media coverage, and social media buzz.
But Harris isn't exactly shying away from the spotlight either. She's brought out former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Beyonce, Willie Nelson. That's quite a lineup.
It is, and it shows that she's playing the same game just with different pieces. Having Beyonce and Willie Nelson on stage with you sends a powerful message to younger voters and music fans. It broadens her appeal and helps her connect with audiences that might not typically tune in to a political rally.
So celebrity endorsements, they're not just about getting people excited, right? It's about getting them to actually vote.
You got it, and with the race this tight, every single vote counts. CNN's final nationwide poll has the race dead even 47% for each candidate. It's a statistical tie.
Wow, that's incredible. With the election just days away, it feels like the whole country is holding its breath, waiting to see which way the pendulum swings.
It's a nail-biter for sure, and it underscores just how divided we are as a nation. It seems like half the country wants to go in one direction and the other half wants to go in a completely opposite direction.
It's down to the wire now, and both campaigns are pulling out all the stops to get their voters to the polls.
Exactly. It's not just about swaying undecided voters at this point. It's about mobilizing your base, making sure every single person who supports you actually casts their ballot.
It's a ground game now. Door knocking, phone banking, getting those absentee ballots in every vote truly matters.
And that's why we see such a focus on voter turnout, especially among demographics that don't vote as reliably. Think young people, minorities. Both campaigns are trying to energize those groups and overcome any obstacles that might prevent them from voting.
So as we watch these closing arguments unfold with all the spectacle and celebrity cameos, what do you think will be the deciding factor in this incredibly close election?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think it boils down to a few things. First, turnout. Which campaign can get more of their supporters to actually show up and vote? Second, persuasion. Can either candidate win over those few remaining undecided voters or even peel off some support from the other side? And finally, the ground game, which campaign has the better organization, the more effective get-out-the-vote operation?
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the symbolism of those rally locations to the key issues each candidate is focusing on. It's clear that this election is about more than just policies. It's about two very different visions for the future of America.
And it's a stark reminder of how divided we are as a nation. This election is going to have major implications no matter who wins, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive today. We hope you found it insightful and engaging.
If you're as intrigued by this election as we are, we encourage you to do your own research, stay informed, and most importantly, get out there and vote.
Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Thinkiverse Podcast for more deep dives on fascinating topics from all around the world.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay curious.